Okay, folks, welcome to the fourth interview, right? The interview that I'm doing today is going to be very interesting. It's going to be different from the first three that we have done because I know the conversation that I want to focus on here. And that conversation is going to be on how do you network with people who are up there, influencers, CEOs, etc. Right? So that's coming to you in this conversation. Okay. So today we have with us Barnik Maitra. Barnik, a warm welcome to this interview. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us here.
Thanks, Paritosh. It's a pleasure being here.
Lovely. Okay. So Barnik and I don't have a very long-standing relationship. We've met recently thanks to TiE and the TiECon Delhi bringing us together, right? I'm having the privilege to meet with him, interview him here. Now, my understanding, Barnik, I'm going to try and introduce you. I may not do justice, so please do add to the introduction if you believe I miss out on anything. Okay. So Barnik has had a long experience in McKinsey, nearly 12, 13 years, more than a decade there. From there, he went into venture capital. He was a venture capital for 3 years, Barnik, if I remember that correct, 3-year period.
And yeah, more a startup builder than a venture capitalist, a little bit of both, right? Early stage venture
startup builder. I love that. I love that. Okay. So, and now Barnik is the managing partner at Arthur D. Little, right? It's a management consulting firm that I love this tagline that they have, that it brings together people, technology, and strategy, right? Their work focuses on helping CEOs and the management level of people bring in the right strategy, the vision for the business. Barnik, anything that needs to be added to this, please go ahead.
No, I think, again, it's a firm which is very similar to my former firm, McKinsey, right? So there's not much of a difference. I think the only difference is that in this new firm, which I've only been here for, I think, around 2.5 years, we also serve the full spectrum of clientele possible, which means we also work with startups, we work with big companies, we work with small companies, we work with family-owned businesses, and we work with people who believe that they have an aspiration or a problem to solve, which needs attention of global experts, which we help bring together for them.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you. Right. So, Barnik, jumping in, I want to respect your time. So I want to jump straight in. My one question that I'm asking all the speakers that are coming in, right? Your philosophy on networking. How do you view networking as a thing, right? What's your view on it?
Yeah, so listen, I don't call it networking. I just call it about relationships, which I want to have and which I want to invest in, right? So in general, I think it helps that I'm a bit of an extrovert, which means I love meeting new people. I get a lot of energy from meeting new people. So my philosophy is the fact that if any year I haven't made 15, 20 new relationships, right? Who could be friends, who could be clients, and by the way, all of my clients are also friends, right? But I would feel the year has not gone well, right? So I'm someone who loves exploring the boundaries. I love meeting new people. I love hanging out with people probably I've never met before. I love being invited to places where I can get to new people, meet new people. So again, it helps a bit that I'm an extrovert who derives a lot of energy from people. But again, for me, I think that's the most important thing. And I think the reason I do it, and people ask me why do I do it, is I have a lot of innate intellectual curiosity about people. What are they up to? What do they do, right? What drives them, right? What's going on in their family lives. So again, I'm a little bit of a curious Joe, right? I keep asking questions, right? And again, I've learned that relationships are not about you, it's about the other person equally. So if you have the ability to demonstrate curiosity, more importantly, listen to other people, I think that's the basis for a good relationship. And then again, for me, that's why I don't call it networking, because networking has a very commercial angle to it. It seems we're doing it for some goal, but I just do it because I love doing it. I love meeting new people. I'm inherently curious about people. And to be fair, over my 20 years, there may be people I've met in 2007, 8. I may have lost contact with them for 5, 6 years. And then suddenly I remember them, I meet them again, and new things start. So again, that's my philosophy. I think there's a way the universe works. And if you're out there meeting people and trying to be helpful and trying to understand what they're doing, I think you can get a lot of things done. Even though that was not the objective with which you set it out.
Right. Yeah. And that, it is so interesting. What you've just said changes the paradigm, the worldview of networking. You've said that it's about relationships, it's about friends, business, everything included. And most importantly, you said it's about others, right? And that changes the paradigm, the worldview out there. A lot of you who are watching this right now, understand the difference, please. Understand the power of what Barnik has just said, right? The worldview out there of networking is that you have to do it to get something. You have to do it when you want something, right? Look at what Barnik is saying. Barnik is saying relationships. It's about relationships. It's not about transaction. Networking, you're right. It does sound transactional, Barnik, because of the worldview that is as commercial as you said, right? Now, then Barnik said friends, clients. He said he would just reconnect with people after many years if he just remembered. And I want to ask you, those of you listening to this right now, how many people are there in your life right now, in your network right now, that you've been thinking that you want to reconnect with, rekindle your relationship with them, but you are waiting for the perfect time, right? Is that time ever going to come, Barnik?
It never comes. I think you should just drop them a message. If I remember someone, I just drop them a WhatsApp message saying, hey, how are you doing? It's been a long time, right? Which part of the world are you, right? And if they say somewhere in the same part of the world, I say, listen, let's catch up for a coffee and we just meet, right? It's as easy as that. You don't have to have an agenda. You don't need to have a reason, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And guys, those of you listening again, Barnik mentioned a couple of times that he's an extrovert. He enjoys meeting people. Okay. Now, those of you who are not, could be at the risk of thinking, oh yeah, you know what, Barnik can do this. He's an extrovert. It's not for me. No, right. Barnik is an extrovert. I am an extreme introvert. I'm able to, because I do a lot of public speaking, etc. I've got passion of the topic. I come into my adaptive behavior when I'm doing these kind of things, but I'm an extreme introvert. So you've got one extrovert here, and clearly a very strong extrovert and a very strong introvert here on this call right now. And we both are telling you this, that it's just as picking up the phone, calling people and keeping it about them, right? The moment people know that you care for them, they'll start caring for you, right? So it's not transaction. Take the commercial angle out of networking. When you take the commercial, the transaction out, all you're left with is relationships, right? It's really that simple, right?
And I tell you one trick, right? And this is a trick I tell all of my startups, right? And I've also used it in my life, right? So I tell all my startups that if you ask for money, you get advice. If you ask for advice, you get money. I think relationships are a little bit like that.
Sorry. Say that again. See, this is the beauty of these conversations. You guys just drop gems and you move on, right? Please repeat that once again. People need to hear this.
So if you ask a venture capitalist for money, you will get advice.
Yes.
If you ask him for advice, you will get money.
This is so amazing. Explain that. I get it, but please do explain. Continue. I'm sorry I interrupted, but I had to.
See, listen, as with most things, right? If you're looking to get an investor into your company, the investor A has to be interested and excited by the business you're in, but most importantly, emotionally invested in you as a founder. Yeah. And that emotional investment doesn't come if the conversation you have is only about a pitch deck and I want to raise X million at Y million valuation, right? It is far easier to actually have a relationship, right? Or have a connection with whoever you're trying to target, right? And that connection does not happen when you say that I'm looking for money. It often starts with the fact, hey, listen, you know something about the space. I don't. I'm trying to build a business, right? Would you mind giving me some advice, right? I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. Right? And you will see human beings in general love to tell people about what they think about their business or what they think about how things should be done. So again, this is another trick of networking, right? It's not about you telling them what you're doing, but it's also asking for advice. Right? By the way, when I also took on my new job at ADL, I reached out to a lot of my former clients. I did not go and tell them, listen, I've joined ADL. I need to get some projects. Can you help me with some projects, right? I called them and I said, listen, I'm now running this consulting business for India. It's a very old storied brand, but they've not been in India for the last 20 years. What advice would you have for me as a CEO of your own business? How should I build this business? What kind of clients should I go after? How should I build my team, right? And I think people called back, did like hours of conversations, gave great ideas, right? And it was a great way for me to connect back to several people whom I have not known or not met for the last 15 years. So again, one of the most important things is about not make it about your immediate task, right? But always ask for help, ask for advice, right? Not about the transaction. It's about, hey, listen, I'm building a business, right? Do you think I'm doing the right way, right? Should I do something different, right? Whereas I think a lot of people feel that they have to just show up at a party, drop their cards, then send them an email with a pitch pack saying, listen, I'm looking for funding. Do you want to fund this, right? That's actually the exact wrong way to do things, right? It's about getting the person emotionally connected with you, right? Which often comes about by showing some intellectual curiosity about what they have done, and then having the humility to ask for advice. Say, listen, I'm doing this, right? Do you have some good advice for me? How should I think about building my tech team? I've just launched a product in this segment, it's doing well. What are other segments I should do? And people are very willing to go out of their way to give you whatever wisdom they have, whatever they've learned, right? And I think that's the way for them to also subconsciously see, right? If you're a person who they would want to work with, right? Beyond just having a few conversations.
Lovely. This is so amazing. So, Barnik, I want to take a moment and decode what you've said here. You've said so many amazing things, right? So Barnik just said, you ask for money, you get advice. You ask for advice, you get money, right? Now, understand the science behind it. He's explained that. He said, when you ask advice, it creates a conversation. If you straight away go ask for money, it creates a barrier, right? Think about it. Don't you, if somebody straight away comes and says, hey, do you want to buy this from me? Your barrier would also come up. But if you ask for advice, it starts a conversation. And if that conversation becomes good, there's an emotional connect that he's been talking about, right? That's it. But I want to connect this to something else. A lot of you could run the risk of taking this trick from this conversation, but miss out on the depth that Barnik said something earlier, okay? Now, Barnik said two things. Number one, he said, this is a great trick, use it. But also, before he said that, he's inherently curious about people, that he would meet them just for a cup of coffee. That shows a lot of genuinity, authenticity. Now, you have to understand, these tricks work when they are on the foundation of certain principles, right? And you can hear Barnik and you can tell, it won't take a genius to do so. You can tell that he's someone who really connects with people, has conversations, right? So take the whole thing away. As you're listening to this, take the whole thing away, not just the trick that you go to someone and you say, hey, can you give me some advice on this? Because Barnik, I was just having a conversation with Deep just before you, right? And in that conversation, I mentioned this, that sabko sabka sach dikhta hai. Everyone can see everyone's truth. So if you're out there trying to fake it just because we've heard of this trick somewhere, it's not going to work.
No, and I'm going to add something to this, and it comes to the principles of what we call authentic leadership, right?
Yeah.
See, you should do something you genuinely believe in, right? And if you've not managed to get to the point that you believe that you need to be intellectually curious about person A, that person will spot the genuinity or the facade immediately. So I think the first part I believe, right, of authenticity is first convince yourself, right, that you genuinely want to do something because you believe in it, right? Yeah. And again, as Paritosh mentioned, right, for introverts, right, it does not come naturally, but there has to be some conditioned, I would say, training or conditioned responses where you have to build the skill. And to be fair, think of your company, right? If you believe that it's important that you need to have a network of important people who are associated with the company,
you have to. Right.
So convincing yourself that is important is step one. And then around it, you have to show authenticity, right? Reach out to people you think you would be able to connect with, right? 100%. Not every person out there you can connect with. So again, you should be a little bit more intelligent about what you want to connect with. Not all connections will happen. So I think the big thing about networking is you may want to connect with 10 people, or out of every 10 connections, maybe 2 or 3 will really connect.
Right.
So I think you have to put yourself out there with the belief that this is important for you. Yeah. And you're doing it because it's an important way for you to behave like a true leader versus
while keeping relationships first.
Yeah.
Right. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Superbly amazing. All right. Barnik, I know that we've asked for limited time, so I'm just going to bring up one more question. Because in your consulting, Arthur D. Little firm, you deal with CEOs and above. Right. That is a whole another level of networking. Right. These are people who generally arrived in life, have done well, right, or have big vision, they've got that courage. So it is a different segment of community. So you're dealing with these people every single day. And a lot of people who would be coming to TiE Delhi would be wanting to network with a lot of these people who would be there, because this is the power of TiE. It just brings such people together and makes them available for the people who want to grow in life, right? I love this about TiE. So those those participants who are coming here to network with people like you, people like CEOs, other people, right? What should be their approach? Because it can be very intimidating seeing someone who's a CEO or above, right? Or an extrovert like you who talks to these kind of people, mentors, coaches them, advises them. If somebody is gonna end up feeling some kind of pressure while approaching such people, what can they do? How should they approach?
So listen, I think the beauty of networking is that there is no risk. I think first you have to be convinced that there is no pressure and there's no risk.
Yeah.
Because it is highly unlikely that someone you meet in a conference, right, you will form such a negative opinion about them that you're going to blow it. So again, you should view an event like a TiECon as an event where there's only upside and no downside, right? So that's step number one, right?
Lovely.
I think that's a big mindset shift, right? So that's one area of, right? Second, I think, see, again, it depends on the person, but I often tell people that, listen, if you're going to an event like this, right, why don't you set yourself some goals, right? I'm going to pick up 10 business cards, right? I'm going to try to meet 5 of them for a coffee on the sidelines of the event, right? So I think, like you would do for your business, right? Set some personal goals, right? Which may be a little bit numerical, and hold yourself accountable to it. Because I really believe, right, that we human beings are great when we say, listen, we want to do X, right? And the biggest fear overcomer is say, listen, if I've not done X, I've not done a good job, right?
Right.
That's some goals, right? Say, listen, I'm at TiECon. I want to pick up 10 business cards of VCs. I want to see if I can catch up a couple of them over a coffee or lunch, right?
Right.
And set yourself reasonable goals, right? I think the moment the goals are set and you are convinced that there is no downside, right? I think you will do it naturally, right? Again, it's just about walking up to a group. I think the other thing I find very helpful is that often you'll find that people are not alone, right? There are 2-3 people and there's a group having a conversation, right? Just gently easing yourself into the group and participating in the conversation, right?
Ask for permission. Can I join in?
Yeah, can I join in? Do you mind if I join in, right?
Yeah.
And everyone says yes, and then you listen to the conversation, and then you say, hey, I have a point of view. Maybe we're discussing politics, maybe we're discussing the Indian cricket team, maybe we're discussing the chances, maybe the group is discussing what India will do if it qualifies for the World Test Championship. Finally, you just get into the conversation, right? And once you get into the conversation, automatically you will see who the people are. They may find interesting. Maybe the group breaks off into 2, maybe then it becomes a 3-member group. You continue with them. And then at the end of the day, as you're breaking off, that's when you ask for the business card and you give the business card. You never start a conversation by saying, hey,
listen to this, guys. Listen to this. Continue, please. Go on.
So again, be very careful, right? See, this is where the intellectual curiosity, the ability to have a conversation comes in. You're always taught to move around with a business class and ask for a business card first and do it. That's the last thing you should be doing in a conversation. If you're
couldn't agree more.
A guy remembers you, hey, do you mind if we exchange business cards? I often don't even exchange business cards. I just ask for their phone number and say, listen, give me a phone number, I'm going to give you a missed call, send you my contact card, and that's it. So you're now in the guy's phone book, right? You're not even exchanging a business card, right? So again, there are lots of tactics, but again, the same principles of having a conversation, being curious about what interests the person, having a point of view, and then at the end of it, maybe there is a small transaction you do of exchanging contacts, right? Or you say, hey, listen, if you're free this evening, let's catch up for a beer or catch up for a coffee. I'll tell you a little bit more about my business if you're interested, right? So again, ask for the permission to get to the agenda, right? If you don't ask for the permission, right, then when you get to the agenda, the guy may just lose interest because he's not interested.
Absolutely. And be okay with the no, because people may not be. Like you said, out of 10, there may be 2. But you have to get through the 8 to get to the 2.
Yeah, and that's why it's very important that if you're there, right, listen, which I tell all of my junior colleagues also show up in conferences, right? Because you've not picked up 20 business cards at the end of the day, then you've not done something right. So again, I think numerical goals and targets also help, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to meet 20 new people over the next 3 days, over 2 days of TiECon, right? And of the 20 you meet, maybe there'll be 3-4 real relationships which may come out of it. So again, you have to trust or believe in the law of the pipeline, right? Which we all call the marketing or the sales pipeline, right? But again, have no fear. Right? There's no downside. What's the downside?
Yeah. What I'm loving about all of this, Barnik, is that how you bringing the elements of strategic networking and authentic networking, right, together at the same place at the same time, right? It is people out there, when they talk about authenticity, they just do too much of relationships, right? And they don't get to the agenda, they don't get to the business. Or there are people out there who are just going straight away for the agenda or the business and not laying the foundation of the relationship, right? Guys, this is important. I've been saying this practically in every single conversation, and I mean it, that you got to re-listen to this stuff. This is not something that's just going to make sense in one go, right? Well, okay, let's summarize what Barnik said. Barnik said he started with the relationships. He said, stay in touch. My camera keeps changing its position, but I'll bring it back, right? So it's about relationships. You stay in touch, you make friends, right? You set some goals. It is good to have goals, right? And when you're doing, approach people, have the courage. How Barnik said, the 2-3 people go in, ask for permission, join the conversation, right? Then the timing is very important. Sensitivity of the timing is very important. He said, ask for the card when you are leaving, or ask for the number when you're leaving. Then the courage part, it's okay to go to someone if you believe you've had a good conversation. If you believe you've had authentic conversations, okay for you to propose the next step. Where Barnik said, hey, are you free this evening? You want to catch up for a beer, dinner, right? Whatever, right? And then along with that, he mentioned the conversion ratio, 20%. He said, you talk to 10 people, 2-3 will come out as great relationships. And they may be business relationships or they may not. So you got to go with the holistic perspective. And I'm going to repeat once again, you have to understand the balance that Barnik is bringing, the balance of authenticity and strategy together, right? Lovely. Barnik, this is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for taking time out. Any closing note for people who are coming to TiECon Delhi, right? Any closing note for them? Any one big advice that you can give to them?
I think just have fun, right? I think life is too short to be too serious about things. You're there to meet people, you're there to listen to some content, you're there to make friends, right? And who knows, right, what will come out of the 2 days of a conference. Right? But again, just have fun,
Amazing.
Be fearless, and to be fair, set yourself goals, right? You should have goals on who you want to meet, who you want to talk to, how many people you want to get. And remember, there is no downside for whatever you do in the conference. Right? There's only upside for all your actions you take within TiE.
Absolutely amazing. Brilliant. Amazing gems, Barnik. Thank you so much for taking the time out. Lovely conversation. I look forward to seeing you at TiECon Delhi, and everybody else who's watching this, please make sure you approach Barnik, say hello to him, right? Focus on relationship. Okay. Ask for the card at the end. All right. Barnik, thank you so much. Have a great one.
Thanks, Paritosh. Take care. Bye.
Lovely.